Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Cotunquit Chronicles, which has been broadcast and developed here in the island of Cotunquit in our studio. We acknowledge the custodians of the land where we are broadcasting from today, including the Narragansett Nation, and we pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. I'm your host, James Allen, and I'm joined here most weeks, and this week by the extraordinary adventurer, extreme sport enthusiast, and all-around great gal, Ashlyn Komorick.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Cotunquit Chronicles. Tonight's episode is entitled Loon. And that's a funny word.
Loon the bird?
Well, let's hear a trumpet. Loon the bird. Oh, of course. Or as in, that seems loony. Or as in, the skiing mountain loon, right up there in New Hampshire.
Is loony, do the loon birds act strange? I mean, I know
Apparently they do.
Aside, they have kind of an interesting call, but do they have strange behavior? Is that why you act loony?
I do act loony. Quite often, and I'm actually reprimanded for that on a regular basis when I'm in certain companies.
Eva doesn't like that?
She does enjoy my zaniness. However, sometimes it's inappropriate, right? I do, from time to time, say things that are very awkward. One of my two daughters often notes that I'm these same proclivities. So I'm working on it. However, I think it's one of the most endearing qualities I have. I would imagine. At least some people feel that way.
That's why I love you, James.
Oh, of course. And, Ashlyn, your dry and demure approach to life, I appreciate that too. Well, it's not demure, maybe. You do actually go for it every day, seemingly, which is, something we've identified quite readily here on this show. However, you do it in a sort of, I don't know, it's a very reverent way, it's like unpresuming, which is also endearing, so yeah, there's a lot of love in this podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make note of the love. I was just thinking of a couple of things. Well, one, we haven't talked about Thanksgiving, and we're all thankful for some things. Not so much the election.
No,
results.
It's hard right now to think of some good news or things we're thankful for. I guess we're thankful for our families.
We are. And the other thing that we're thankful for, I think, is that we have the means to help others. And we have had the means to help others.
That's true.
And that's going to be more needed than ever. And I think that's really the only way we're going to get through these next years, is that we're going to be able to help others as finances and
supporting causes that need champions.
True. And I'm sitting here now with 2 braces, one in each hand, so I'll do as much as I can until my thumbs just completely fall off.
Pickleball injuries?
No, I don't like to count any injuries towards pickleball or golf. These are long-standing issues I've had with my hands that are related probably to fishing, right? I did have frostbite in my hands and my feet, so there you are. Whatever. So we're not going to... we came up with a rule over the weekend during the Thanksgiving break while we were in Jersey City visiting my daughter. We stayed in Hoboken. Mm-hmm. Nice town, by the way. We stayed right next to Frank Sinatra Park. Very nice. Mm-hmm. Liked it. I was spreading the news all weekend, and Eva was giving me a hard time. But our daughter hosted in Jersey City, her and her boyfriend, and really nice event again this year, overlooking the Statue of Liberty from her apartment. I really like it there. They have a golf simulator. And you can hit those golf balls till your arms fall off and your legs fall off. But great time. Played some billiards. And I was particularly accurate with my shooting to the point where the family all were angry with me for making. I think I almost ran the ball one time. Well, I really wasn't trying to show off.
You can't help yourself.
I was trying to be excellent. And at that moment, I had my chi again, my cheese chi, if you remember back to podcast number 2 or something like that. But I found the chi, and it was really fun, except, that. But we played a game that was really fun called Code Game. You'd love this game.
Is this a board game or this is a
Well, we played
physical...
it on the table.
Okay.
And there were 25 words.
Mm-hmm.
And they're partners. So if you were my partner, you'd be over there. And you'd have a little card with some dots on it that were all on a grid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And you'd be identifying the words that corresponded in front of both of us. And then you try to see similarities in some of those words and then give me a clue. And you tell me 3, which meant you have to find 3 words.
So a little bit of charades.
You got one, you have one clue.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I had some clues that were a little bit British, so I would use a British accent when I said the word.
I think that's cheating.
See? All right, we had this argument.
No, but you do. So this is one of these games where the more you know your partner and the way they think, the better you are at it.
Absolutely. You've got it already. You're probably going to win at that, too. So we should, get a copy of this game and play it. We were really fun. It was really fun. I enjoyed every minute of it. And Eve and I ended up winning. So we came home with, the chocolate cake.
All the trophies.
Yeah.
Did you know that our friend Tom from the soccer pitch, his son lives in Hoboken?
I did not know that, but there are about 2 million people that live there.
Well, I mean, somebody we know.
Yeah, Tom. Oh, Tom. I know Tom. I saw him the other day at the market. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's been catching, sorry, Tom, I'm going to let the news out. He's been catching squid at the dock.
Mm.
And he was mentioning what he's doing with it. He does some nice things with squid. Have you ever had stuffed squid?
No, I haven't had stuffed squid.
Oh, boy. My uncle had a recipe for stuffed squid. I think I still have it.
You'll have to invite me over for stuffed squid one day.
You would like that, actually. And I'll do it a couple of ways, because I'll do it the Portuguese way, where they just take the squid and throw it on the barbecue. And that was really delicious. I thought that was great. And you'd appreciate it, because you'd be eating all around the guts and everything. And the bone that's in there, and the beak, and all the other things.
It's funny, because when we were kids, the only thing we used squid for was bait.
Yeah,
remember those little boxes?
Yeah.
That's what we used to get our squid in.
Mm. My father would take that home, and, he'd cut it in half, and we'd get half of for bait, and the other half, they'd find their way.
Yeah, the box doesn't say bait on it.
No.
It's like a...
It's good.
Looks like it's like the shape of a thing of frozen peas or something that come in the box.
I agree. How was your Thanksgiving? So that's what we did, and, we did a lot of walking around shopping and eating too much.
Yeah, we did a lot of eating, too, and a lot of walking. We went to Quebec.
Quebec.
Yeah.
Do you speak French? Or pretend French?
Pretend French, yeah. But it's interesting. This is the first time I've been up there, and maybe because of it was way busier than I remembered, so we didn't have reservations at the little French bistros that we typically frequent, so we couldn't get in.
So you're a typical French, Canadian, Quebec visitor.
No, but I've visited on more than one occasion, and if you go into some of those places, they don't speak a lot of English, or they choose not to speak English, but, we manage. But this time, everywhere we went, and maybe it's because Now you're getting younger people working in the restaurants,
Yes.
and they've all been brought up in school with full English. So there was
They didn't express disdain for those of you.
there was
that,
none of that,
choose
and
to
they
speak.
easily switched back and forth. If you wanted to speak French, fine. If they detected that you were having trouble, they would speak English and explain.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
anyway, we had a good time. We did do quite a bit of walking, and there's so many stairs. Have you been to?
Is Quebec different than Montreal?
So Montreal and Quebec City are both in the province of Quebec.
Okay, I think Quebec City I've been to.
There's a lot of stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is, I sort of like going up and down the stairs. But, we did walking and going into galleries and some museum stuff. And then they had the Christmas market, the German Christmas market. So that was fun.
Nice. Did you feel a sense of pretend Europe trip?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like going
how's
to
that
Europe
feel,
without
doesn't it?
flying.
I agree. And what I was really interested in as a 25-year-old when I went there, most recently we went a couple of years ago during COVID. And then prior to that, I hadn't been since I was 25. I brought a soccer team up there and we were playing in a tournament in that region. So we went, I think it was Niagara Falls, but so we went in, with the parent group. And what struck me was the fashion. It was like high fashion Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, a 25-year-old looking at young women, tall women, thin, tall women, dressed very, very well, walking around the city was intriguing, of course, for a young person. And
They were probably looking a bit scruffy.
and I was scruffy. I was the scruffy soccer coach in my Adidas attire.
We had one scruffy person with us this past weekend.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
What?
That
Was
would
it
be my
Stuart?
son. No, it was my son.
Okay, so you brought your son. He can clean up nicely though.
He can. He's in need of a haircut. We were calling him Sasquatch.
Oh, well, that's nice of you to say such endearing things about your lovely son. He's a fascinating fellow, as is your daughter. You got a couple of good kids there. So they're not kids anymore. Really.
Yeah.
Are you ready for skiing season? Speaking of northern climes.
I really wanted to start early getting in shape, and I've only just started doing some sort of pre-ski season exercises, which is a little late.
Is this bullshit or is it not? Because you're playing soccer, you're bicycling, you're doing a significant amount of walking. You're traipsing around here all day at work, bicycling into work. What the heck else can you do?
Well, when you do
do
a
stretching or
different
something?
sport, you use different muscles. Like you
Yeah,
can
of
be
course.
super fit, and then suddenly, you do something different, like go skiing. And then, 2 days later, you can't walk up and down the stairs, and you're thinking, how is this possible? Because they're different muscles, right?
Yeah, I played 18 holes of golf on Monday last week in the cold, and the greens were a bit frozen. Not here. I played somewhere else. This place was closed.
So that changes how the ball rolls.
It certainly does, and they aerated the week before, and the sand was on there, so it did affect the scoring, I would say. However, those icy fairways, my goodness, the ball does travel after you hit it. If you hit it well, it goes and rolls. So I had some drives that were monstrous, 300-yarders. Okay, so we're looking at skiing. We're going to talk about skiing and not golf. That's hard for me.
Yeah, so you mentioned Loon.
Yeah. Well, we're going to hear a lot about Loon in a few minutes because I'm going to read my story. It's a rather lengthy story, so we should get going with that soon. But I was going to talk a little bit about this one skiing event. Have we talked about this? Because if I have, help me out.
You have to tell me what it is so I can tell you
Well, I
whether
was
we've
in
talked
college.
about it.
I was college age, and my high school girlfriend and I became college girlfriend and boyfriend. And she went to a rather prestigious school near Boston there. And her roommate was the owner of a ski on ski off at Bromley.
I
So-
don't think I've heard this story.
Okay, so we're like young kids. We got a lot of alcohol. Got in a wagon. One of the women had a wagon, and she drove up there with a bunch of us.
Like a
6 or
station
7.
wagon?
Like a station wagon.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So I started out with a picture of like
Thank you for
a
helping.
radio flyer in my mind.
Oh yeah. So we all got in the radio flyer, and we pulled. That would be fitness at its best. So, we got up there, and great. You get in the place, we even made stew, and we had some chili and all that stuff, all ready to go. And early morning, get up, everybody gets together, going skiing. I don't know anything about skiing. Just not I knew a lot about catching clams and going lobstering, but I didn't know anything about skiing. But I figured I was athletic enough, and I just come off of my last season of college soccer, right? So I felt like I could do it. So we got up there, and nobody had any interest in teaching me anything about skiing, and they just brought me right to the top. So we got off. Of course, I flew off the thing there, and
The chairlift.
I fell off and skied sideways down about 30, 40 feet. And they came over and harassed me, and I got up, and they gave me like a mini lesson right there, and that was it. So then they took me down, I think it was a medium, right? It was a blue.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just following and watching the motions of the bodies, and I'm just trying to figure it out. So by the second time down, I'm starting to feel pretty good, and I'm okay, right? I'm actually skiing, and not just snow plowing, but I was watching this one group member, this woman we called Weed, and she didn't smoke pot. She was just grew like a weed when she was a kid, so they called her Weed. Do you remember this?
Mm-mm.
So anyway, she's an excellent skier, so I figured I'd follow her. And I told her, I said, I'm going to follow you, so, take it easy, but I'm going to try to learn, what you're doing. I'm just going to watch and learn. That's the best way for me, just watch and learn. So I'm actually doing what she's doing. She's slalom skiing down the mountain. And she's a ball buster, because she went over like this mini jump, like a jump. It wasn't a mini jump. It was designed for people to jump. It's not like, the one where the guy, Wide World of Sports, where you see him break his whole body. It was more like a smaller one. But she goes over and she falls immediately. And now I'm just following her, right? And now I come up, and my legs are splaying, and I'm going to hit her. So I adjust my body, and you can't see this now, but
He's rotating to the right.
Rotating to my right. I plant my right ski. I lift my left ski over her so I don't kill her. And then the bad part happens. I plant the left pole, and it goes right in my eye. The blunt end of it, thank
not
God.
the tip.
And it just tore everything out of my eyelid right here. Down to here. So it was a big, big scar.
Like a gash?
Well, you could, if you did this, you'd see the eye. It was really bad.
So not just a bruise. We're talking laceration here.
Oh, yeah, blood everywhere. So I'm just lying there in a heap. And all the other women in the group, because it was all women and me, come flying down. It was an all-women's school that my girlfriend had gone to, so we were all. I was there.
You were the only boyfriend.
I was the only guy with the group, and they all staring at Weed, and they're worried about Weed because she'd had some knee problems before, and I looked up at them and I said, I think I'm a little screwed up, and then everyone shrieked.
Because of course, anything on your
In your face.
head just bleeds
Bleeds.
profusely.
Yeah. And you would have just said, oh, okay, I keep skiing. But they did take me down in one of those carts, and they got me down there, and then they brought me to the hospital.
Did they bring you to the clinic down the road? Or did they take you to the legitimate hospital?
I don't know. It was an emergency room, and there was a lot of stitches. It was quite a bit of stitching. And then no one from the group, nobody came with me. They just let me go.
Well, they didn't want to ruin their ski day.
Ski day. And there was a shuttle back from the hospital. It's like they're ready for this stuff, you know? So they brought us back. They brought me back, and I'm there when they come back. And they're all drunk. Because they had one of those leather pouches, you know? Like
a wineskin?
A wineskin that you would use if you were in the Sahara Desert or something. So they were drinking quite heavily. And then, you know, of course, I'm there really fucked up.
Did you have a patch over your eye at this point?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I looked like a pirate. So we eat dinner, you know, all the dinner's prepared there. We have the dinner and everything. And then it's the next day. You know, there's a lot of things that happen too. But then it's the next day, and they all go skiing without me. And I'm just there, you know, I'm just like...
You didn't feel up to skiing with one eye.
No, and you can't watch TV because it's like 29 clickers and there's no channels. And I'm just reading books and with one eye. So when they came home, once again, they're drunk, but we got to drive home. It's a snowstorm. I'm in the wagon, and I have to drive. None of them can drive. So
Was it your left eye?
Yeah, it still looks bad.
So
Doesn't it?
no, I was going to say, so when you're driving, you can't look
No, it's one
left
eye.
when you're passing and so on.
Close one eye right now. That's it.
Yeah.
Good, Ashley. And you get the feel of it. So no vision over to my left. I have to turn my head.
Quite far.
Quite far. So we get on the road, and it's, you know, it's a long ride home from the Bromley and I'm going along okay, but it's two-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive vehicle. But we had plenty of weight in the vehicle, so it was like, you know, decent. But I'm like at the point where I'm just kind of following the car in front of me.
How much snow's on the road?
Lots. It's snowing a blizzard. Not a blizzard because you could see, but you couldn't see more than 40 or 50 feet. You could see enough when the deer came into the road. That's when you could see. So I did slow down because I could see the deer coming up from a ridge down below. It comes over the ridge, and it looks at me, and it looks like it's going to turn back. And then something spooked it, and it ran right into the side of my car. The big antlers and everything smashed right into the car. Not my car, her car, but everyone's drunk and sleeping. The car, you know, stops. They wake up, and then the deer's there, and it's like, you know, having a hard time because it just ran into my car. And they're like, "You killed the deer! You killed the deer!" Of course, I've been driving for 2 hours with this condition on, and the deer turns around and then runs over the ridge, and I convinced them that it had lived. Of course, it only had 3 legs, but I think it lived.
What do you mean it only had 3 legs?
Well, one was dangling quite a bit, but they weren't in any condition to really ascertain whether the deer, because it would have been like the worst thing in the world if I had killed the deer.
Well, the worst thing in the world would have been you killed the deer and everybody in the car.
Yeah, because it would have gone over the embankment. There was like 7 feet of snow embankment on the right that had piled up over the month. And then subsequently there was some plowing being done. So 7 hours later, we got back. I drove for 7 hours. You know, you got the stamina. You can.
Wait, so the car was not damaged?
Oh, yeah.
Kept going.
The car was damaged to the point where I couldn't get out of the driver's side. The door had been smashed right in. I mean, smashed right in. So it was actually protruding into the seating area, but we managed.
But that was okay because you couldn't see that. That's the left side, and.
Oh yeah, didn't matter. That's my story about skiing in college.
At Bromley. Well, it's interesting because Stuart also received a wound at Bromley one time when we were skiing. And we
Enthralling.
we just were sent down to the clinic, which is, I don't know, 5-10 minutes down the road.
You went with him.
I went with him.
See, you do have some empathy.
And yeah, but he wasn't happy after that because the doctor who stitched him up, Stuart's not a fan of the sight of blood. And I was right there while the guy was stitching him up. So he and I are having a conversation.
And you're a big fan.
No, I'm okay with it, right? And I'm curious about stitching people up. Nobody wants me to do it, but so Stuart's sitting there turning green as I'm having a discussion with the doctor about, well, do you see more injuries from traditional skiers or telemark skiers? And we're going on, and I'm looking at the wound, and he's stitching it all up, and Stuart's just like, what? Hey, what about me?
Yeah. Oh, poor Stuart.
Anyway.
Yeah, he has a rough time. He has a rough life.
But he got stitched up, and we went back to the mountain and skied a few more runs.
Of course you did. And Stuart, too. Good for him. I guess I was told not to, given
I
the
think,
swelling
that seems like a lot worse than Stuart's, I think, was like a ski pole in the leg. But, it's just a puncture wound.
You know it's bad when the doc says, when you get home, you might want to see his...
a specialist?
What was it? Plastic surgeon. I never did. I've seen them, but I've never went to them. Trumpet.
Just not out of that eye.
That's the sound of change. Waves are always the sound of change, aren't they? And we know from our visit with Ellen Serenity that the shorter waves produce more special treasures, as we remember from our visit with her.
That's very good that you remembered that.
Maybe 10 podcasts behind us. However, she is going to return. The return, we hope, of Ellen Serenity, who I think was a very intriguing guest. She brought so much to the table. But we have to pay for our keep here, so our commercials will begin at this time. Again, miraculously, we have some more sponsorships and a little new segment we'll talk about. But our commercials, what are they today? Oh, here we are. We have something called Strike More, Strike Less matches, the only underwater match. Well, not underwater, but they'll strike even if you immerse them in water and take them out. As long as you have oxygen present, Strike More, Strike Less matches will find a way to light. You can find them at Sincerity Undervalued Hardware and Chocolate Shop. That's one place. Sincerity Undervalued Hardware and Chocolate Shop at the base of Cotuncquit, Maine. Mary Lou's Asian Cuisine is opening soon on Cotuncquit, Maine in the old Dead Mist restaurant. At Mary Lou's, we have Asian cuisine, including, can you say Asian?
Asian.
Asian. Can you say Asian cuisine, like, is it appropriate now?
Yes, it's an Asian restaurant.
Okay. At Mary Lou's, we have Asian cuisine, including Thai, Vietnamese, Cambodian, Japanese, Chinese, and Mexican offerings. We at Mary Lou's know that Mexico isn't in Asia, but Mary Lou also knows that everyone seems to like Mexican food, so she's chopping cilantro like mad for the upcoming grand opening Sunday at noon. Come down to the former Dead Mist and get some food that will spice up your life.
Is it really going to be Mexican?
Really? That's what it says right here. Really.
You believe everything you read?
I believe that they'll bring some cilantro and I won't be able to eat any of it because I do not eat cilantro for very many reasons. Cranberries are us. A new store in West Ferry near the deli offers everything cranberry year-round. Order your cranberry sauce now for Thanksgiving. Well, that's a little late. I guess for Christmas. You'll never buy that store-bought crap in a can again. Our sauce will serve as a talking point that will last the year for all of your guests. Our cranberry sauce is sourced from a private grower. So secret, we don't even know where his farm is. I do. Little known fact, cranberry sauce can be used as a topical ointment that helps relieve back pain. Pick a quart today at Cranberries R Us. I don't even know where they're located. Jerry's Lobster Garage. This is really cool. Are you a lobster lover?
I am a one lobster per summer person.
Oh. There's a limiting sense of limitation that you don't need to put on yourself. Is it a financial thing?
No.
Is Stuart holding you back? Don't spend the money.
It's like a clam cake.
Oh yeah.
You can only eat so much of it.
Well, clam cakes and lobster do not have the same power factor in my.
They're both.
I don't feel.
Lobsters are really rich.
Great about clam cakes. After I eat a clam cake, or several of them, which I always do, I knew going in that it was going to be something I like the taste of. But on the other end of it, not the whole other end, but when it gets down into the stomach.
That's why you should only eat one.
I refer to them as belly busters. But Jerry's Lobster Garage does not have clam cakes. Jerry's Lobster Garage, located at his mechanic shop behind the pet store, is open on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon, approximately between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. for your convenient pickup of the most fresh lobster in all Rhode Island. We'll even cook them for you, says Jerry Margolis, owner and operator of Jerry's Lobster Garage. Enjoys service available on Monday to Thursday weekly. And I think when he says the service, engine service, that's when that takes place, Monday through Thursday. So, cool, he's got two things going here that are very, very unusually opposite. Serving food and fixing your car. Right here in Cotunkwood. Oh, you'll be appreciating this one. Bird Counters Weekend is upcoming. Join the fun of identifying birds for an entire weekend, and you could be recognized in the Cotunkwood Press as the bird watcher that identifies the most birds, the rarest of bird species, and the person that walked the most miles in this pursuit. Join bird watchers from Cotunkwood for this uniquely spiritual and soul-searching activity. You could be a Cotunkwood Press star by next Thursday.
You know what that reminds me of? You remember when there was a big to-do about the great tit?
I always think all tits are great. I'm all over that. I think all sizes and shapes, and everybody has them is very fortunate, and we'll take all. What are you talking about? The great tit? Oh, I think that's a bird, isn't it?
There was a bird, and it had been spotted in Jamestown, and people came from, I don't know, all over the Northeast who are bird watchers who collect sightings of birds.
That was truly a great tit.
And so they were.
You led me into that one, didn't you? You knew I was going to respond.
Very unusual sighting, and it turned out in the end to have escaped from somebody's aviary. You don't remember this?
I thought it might have escaped from someone's bra. Shouts and scuttlebutt. This is a new section, so we have just morphed from our sponsors now to shouts and scuttlebutt. This first one, Bull Stonewall, noted on an email to CotunquitChronicles@gmail.com. That's CATUNQUIT. Chronicles@gmail.com, that he apologizes for hitting the tree on Clanton Avenue and causing the traffic jam on Thanksgiving morning. He says, I was 4 coffees into the day, having gotten up at 3 a.m. to put the turkey in the slow smoker and I backed out the driveway too fast, and wham! I smashed a rotten oak, and before I could drive away, had a 200-year-old oak tree lying across the bed of my truck. Nobody got hurt, thank God. That's right from Bull Stonewall. Okay. Does that sound like him?
It does. Isn't that why they call him Bull?
No, Bull. That sounds just like him. Yeah, you know, he's a rough guy. And apparently, Bull Stonewall's wife, you know her?
Yes.
Etta Stonewall. Do you know her? Really know her? Because she's rougher than Bull. Bull Stonewall's wife wrote in, if he thinks I'm replacing that truck, he's got another thing coming. And that's from the Stonewall family. And then we heard from Stuart Willett. You know Stuart from a story that I recently read about Stuart.
Mm-hmm.
Stuart and his wife, Shimon Willett, and there was Maisie Templeton.
Mm-hmm.
Stuart Willett remarried this past weekend, and yours truly, James Allen, was in attendance. Maisie and Stuart will take up residence in Jack Kosinski's refurbished tool shed.
So Stuart married Maisie.
He did. Stuart is Kosinski's third cousin, as it turns out, and therefore qualifies for the family in-law apartment rule in the Katunkwit Charter, where it is that Shimon Willett, former wife of Stuart Willett, moved to Cumberland, Rhode Island to be near her aging parents and has vowed never to return or eat another oyster as long as she lives. So she's not going to return to Katunkwit, and she'll never eat another oyster as long as she lives. So there might be a little bit of consternation there. That was kind of a quick turnaround. A couple of months, and Stuart's
moved on.
moved on. I thought there was too great an age gap. Didn't you think?
I didn't think that would actually happen.
Well,
I thought Maisie, you know, it would be a little fun for a while, and then she would come to realize that she could do better than Stuart.
Apparently, there's more fun than you thought. But how do you know? I mean, you see them in the streets together, you know.
Yeah.
She's cool. So, I mean, whatever. People just have to do their thing, whatever it might be. I think Stuart, maybe Stuart will be happier and therefore more productive member of society.
That could be.
Nothing against you, Stuart. I'm talking to you now, right now. And I really like you, dude, man. You're all right. I think Maisie's 2-3 times the person you are, but and so is Shimon. But as it turns out, everybody gets to do whatever they got to do, you know, because you got to do what you got to do. That's what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. All those musics and waves are sort of meshing now. When I think of music, trumpets, now I think of waves. It's all good. So I have a couple of is it bullshit or not? Are you ready for these?
I am.
Listening? Is it bullshit or not? Okay, now, this may be irreverent, but I say, a 50-something woman with the last name of Cavallo was baking a casserole in the house while her teenage son was working beneath his car in the driveway. She heard a sickening crash and went outside to investigate, found her son pinned beneath the vehicle. She lifted the car 4 inches off the ground, jammed a block beneath the wheel, and pulled her son from beneath the 4,000-pound car. Is it bullshit, or is it not?
It's not bullshit.
You are absolutely correct. One would think that a single person of any strength could not lift.
Yeah, there's these cases of people having superhuman strength when it's really needed.
You think she pulled a muscle? I think I might have pulled all my muscles on that.
I don't know. If you suddenly have that kind of strength, maybe you don't pull a muscle.
Okay, number 2. Elon Musk is experimenting with tube travel, which wish he would just get in there and go. Something called hyperlooping, where a person or persons enter a capsule, are placed in a tube, and are catapulted at high speed, hundreds of miles. Is this true? Is this bullshit, or is this not?
Well, didn't he have this whole plan to have this Hyperloop car thing between, I don't know what it was, Las
I'm not gonna
Vegas and
say.
somewhere. I'm going to
Is it bullshit
say
or not?
it's not bullshit, but I think it was cars and not people.
That I don't know how your answer is half wrong. I mean, you can only comment on the thing that I said. You can't talk about cars. I said where a person or persons enter a capsule and are placed in a tube and are catapulted.
Okay, so if a car qualifies as a capsule, it's true that he is proposing to do this. It's bullshit on his part, not on your part.
That is true that he actually funded a long stretch. I think it's in a desert, perhaps, or don't call me on this. Don't Google me on this. It might have been in California, but it was several miles, many miles, and the thing went really fast. And I've seen it actually, so it's a real thing. That's where we have our bullshit or not. Hello, and welcome back. We're looking at the story here, Loon, as we discussed earlier. And I wrote this story. Initially, I was writing some stand-up comedy, so I hope it has some humor to it. Then I adjusted and wrote a short story. It's not that short, but it's, I hope, consistently amusing. And here we are. And the story's name, Loon. And as I suggested before, that's a lot about skiing. I had resisted long enough. My relationship was at risk of being altered. Husbanding was, being considered. Fatherhood issues, friendship issues, all were in jeopardy. I probably would have to agree to it. But I was holding out a little longer. We just have to go skiing with the children, she said. They're like 4 and 5 years old. Why? I say to my wife, but she's already gone, as she throws up her hands and makes a gone motion. They're like 6 and 7, you idiot. They can't always play soccer. They need to broaden. I skied when I was a kid. Cumberland Hill or something. 3 guys and some shovels could reduce that hill by half in 2 days. So, we buy one of those things people put on the top of their SUV so they can, lock their skis up. It costs about $1 million, but we don't have any skis, so it's empty. It's cheaper to rent them locally, she says. It's about $400 it ends up for the rental. So we put the crap on top of the car that looks like a 4-wheel drive SUV, but it's only 2-wheel drive, and we leave in a snowstorm to go to Loon Mountain, New Hampshire. Temperature is about 10 degrees in Rhode Island. So 2 states away in New Hampshire, it's about 10 degrees below zero, but we go anyway. My wife Maggie brings snacks for the ride, and the kids are eating in the back seat, throwing shit all over the back seat. But that's why people buy SUVs, so they can fuck them up when their kids are young. We've got Oreos flying around, a tuna salad in between the car seats, and chewed potato chips mounds and softened by snotty children's saliva in the back seat. But who the fuck cares? We're required to go skiing. We take the main road up 295 north because it's more likely to be plowed, and my two-wheel drive piece of shit Ford with last year's tires are all around. Is doing like the fucking Lindy all the way down the highway, and I'm seriously thinking of turning back. This is bullshit. Let's go back. I'm turning around. And just as I say the word around, the car does 2 360s, and we miraculously end up going in the same direction like nothing happened. Liza says, "Cool, Dad. Do it again." My other daughter, Bella, vomits all over the back seat as a mixture of Oreos and chips with milk spew from her face. Liza is a kid that you can spin around for days and she'd never puke. Bella, one spin and she's gone. We might as well keep on going. God is with us. Besides, we prepaid for the condo, Maggie testifies aloud, as if she's the local pastor at the Baptist church. So we keep on driving for 7 hours, 8 stops, and frequent inquiries from the front and back seat occupants. When are we going to get there? We crawl up the hill to the condo and get stuck on the driveway hill, spinning the tires until the pseudo SUV slides back into the street. The car comes to a stop as it hits a snowbank and lodges enough against the ice, producing a few nice dents in the Ford, but the impact reduces the inertia, preventing us from sliding to base camp. It's not a ski onto the mountain kind of condo. It's all about 4 miles from the base of Loon. But at this point, I don't care. I've been riding for 7 hours with the smell of puke emerging from the back seat area, only to periodically open the windows for relief and then realize that while it's cold in Rhode Island, it's fucking bitchin' cold in New Hampshire. Our friends meet us from the third floor balcony where the condo is located with greetings of, "Hello, how was your trip? It's so good to see you." My eyes swing up to the balcony and I exhale a little too loud as I grab the luggage, ski boots, coolers, and bags of food and throw them to the curb to safety. Joe comes down to greet me, and he helps me pull the car to the condo parking lot with a chain and hooks he just happened to be carrying because he's in the know, and he helps me haul the half-a-ton supplies and clothing we need for the 3-day ski trip. We fill the foyer with boots and galoshes, coats and hats, masks and gloves, and I can see the children playing with Joe's kids near the fire, warming after the trip, having traveled for some of the trip with the windows open. I return to the SUV with a bucket of Lest oil and water and sponge to pull the puke from the carpet. I use several rolls of paper towel. Maggie cleans the kids, and when I arrive at the open room and feel the warmth of the fireplace, I sink into a worn, upholstered chair as Maggie hands me the biggest Manhattan drink filled with luscious Italian maraschino cherries and Jim Beam. It's the longest, tallest Manhattan I've ever seen, and I sink further into the couch and await dinner. Joe's wife, Susie, is experienced, skied all her life, came from a big family, so she's mega organized, has the meatballs cooked in advance and frozen in the porch, so it's just a heat the meatballs and sauce situation, and presto, we're eating all together with the kids at one end of the table, and us at the other end, drinking wine and occasionally making trips to the wood storage shed for a hit on Joe's pipe. The crowd-pleasing verbal tip-off line being, "Need more wood from the woodshed. Want to help me?" So we are all tuned up as we eat voraciously, as if the mountain of meatballs were going to run out. And I can sense some serious sleep in my future as we all eat dessert, which is, quite appropriately, Igloo ice cream bars with the chocolate that covers vanilla ice cream. by an act of God, the kids don't get too fucked up from the chocolate and actually ask to go to bed. So we stuff all 4 of them in the bunk beds in the upper level and have a few more drinks as the party winds down with the reality of the following day looming. I volunteer to take the trash to the garbage installation. It's like a fortress area with 6-foot chain link fence, a lock, a key the condo association gives you, with a full warning, beware of bears. I'm clutching this big-ass key with a plastic bear-shaped figurine chained to the key. Seems like overkill, I announce to myself as I leave the bag of trash and the curiously oversized key, the kind of you get at the coffee shop in Manhattan so the underpaid barista can unfairly determine who's worthy of being able to take a piss in New York City. I stumble down the icy road. The exhaust from my nose freezes into ice crystals as I ramble through the cold night. I pull the frozen lock from the gate and try to find the keyhole in the dark, so I use the cast light from the cell phone, and as I attempt to turn the key, I see in the shadows the biggest fucking ass I've ever seen. It stinks of shit, and it isn't a human ass. No way. It's a fucking bear. And he or she, or whatever, is awake enough, definitely not hibernating. It shakes the backside of the cage with giant talon-like claws. For a moment, we're both stuck, almost broken. Both from fear, I presume. Well, at least me. And I throw the black bag of garbage at the big-ass bear, and I bolt up the hill, skidding as I go, and even falling. And when I finally look back, I can see the bear in the moon's light, and it's seated on the snowbank, tearing through the leftover meatballs and pasta as he bears down the large glob of leftover scraps from the kids' table and licks the food wrappers. I even saw him eat an Oreo from the pukey pile of paper towels. I watch from the balcony as it lumbers over to the gate. Room 314's garbage key hanging from the lock, and shakes the gate with a fury unknown to me till that moment. I knew bears were strong, but it's shaking the entire trash facility of B Block Condo Association of the Slippery Run Condo Stay Spa. I couldn't believe it. I go inside as the sounds of running water and the chatter of 3 adults mix, while optimism about the next day's skiing erupts from the sink area. Susie looks over at me, and I must have been in fucking shock or something, because her first words are, "What the hell happened to you?" And then my wife looks over at me and she says, without really observing my condition, "Where you been, Pokey?" Now, that's a word she usually reserves for me when I'm driving at a speed she believes to be too slow, and I hadn't heard it on this trip to this point, so I'm surprised to hear it now after I've experienced a near white light. How many wives ask their husbands to drive faster? Pokey, you are gonna go there? I just came 10 feet from coming dinner from the local big-ass forgot to hibernate because I live next to a huge lunchbox bear. That's bullshit. You didn't see a bear, Maggie says, and I'm not sure if she's like the least intuitive person in the universe or what, but I manage a response. Yeah, Pokey. I just ran a quarter mile in sheer ice to escape. I forgot to tell you to watch out for the bears when you bring the trash down to the barrel station, Joe says as he smoked 5 joints and 7 bowls. Maggie approaches me. Oh, honey, I'm sorry. It really was a bear, wasn't it? She states these words as if she knew all the time. Let's go to bed. I've had enough of this shit today, I announce after the last bit of cleanup is complete. We all go to our condo beds to sleep, or so we thought. The room is nice with an old television that definitely isn't smart and has 3 fuzzy channels that requires the use of not 2 but 3 remotes to be used in some sequence that is outlined in a manual beside the bed. that couldn't be understood if we were to stay for a week. They took the good room. She whispers as she slips into pajamas, then puts her nightgown over that, and thus eliminating any chance of what would be punishing sex at this point, given what had occurred over the last 12 hours. What makes their room better? I stupidly ask. It's closer to the bathroom, she whispers. I can't hear you. Why are you whispering? I ask. I don't want them to hear. But I can't hear, I say. You must have. You responded to me. Let's just go to sleep, and besides, you don't want to hear the bathroom all night long, do you? I say as I lie down and begin a steady decline to a position that I can only describe as very near the floor. It's as if I'm sleeping on the side of a hill or a cliff. How is it? She asks, without looking, as she removes her earrings and looks at the ceiling and fiddles with the metal backing. Not good, I say as my body weight and slight movement at the edge of the bed launches me off the bed into the floor. Ooh, that not good, Maggie muses, repeating a line that her sister often uses. That not good. She gets into bed and takes her usual 70% of the space in the bed as I fight with sleep and on the precipice of this Grand Canyon. In the middle of the night, I find a blanket just in the cold entryway and sleep on the floor in front of the fire. I'm warm and grounded. I awaken in the cold, my feet exposed, and to the sense that someone is walking over me. It's Bella. She's fully recovered from her vomit session the previous day, and she notices that I'm awake and stands on my tortured tower back because she knows I like it when she does. I'm usually ready for her to stand on me when I ask her to do so, but this time I'm seeing her, and I know that she's going to step on me, but I'm still a little hungover from the glass of bourbon and from the trips to the woodshed, so I don't hold my abdominal muscles together enough as she almost jumps on my back. On her next pass over me, she jumps a little, and the pain radiates down my ass and stings the outside of my left leg. Not the calf, but not on the shin either. It's a weird spot to feel pains and pins and needles and severe pain. For a second, I figure that I'm paralyzed, but I jump up immediately as if I'd been shot. And of course, she doesn't understand that she just hurt me, and she wonders why I'm on a limp, trying to lengthen my left leg to keep it from cramping further, as back spasms knot and stiffen instantly at the spots where she jumped on me. Why'd you do that? I asked instinctively. You like it, she says. I have to be ready, I say as I wince in pain and try to relieve the knotting spasms against a corner where the wall meets, rubbing up and down. You look like a honey bear, Daddy, she says. I smile at her as the pain subsides and the buzzing retreats. We read through National Geographic as I describe the pictures to her quietly until the rest of the group awakens. I realize that this is fun, but we can read magazines and look at the pictures at home. It's about 5:30 and I've been forewarned. Susie likes to make the first run on the day before anyone else gets on the mountain. So we are a few moments away from awakening, truly in a go mode. Bacon is turning, eggs are cracking, and we're toasting a whole lot of loaf of green bread with butter softens as the coffee table before the fire. The kids eat first and begin to play, and by 6 a.m., we've all eaten, splashed some water on our faces, and put on long underwear. I fight to get the stretchy underwear on both kids as Maggie packs a satchel's worth of lunch stuff and drinks. And I force the kids to drink some orange juice, and Bella asks me with a smile for Nulk, as she used to say when she needed her milk when she was just little. I laughed inside and see the beautiful 5-year-old as a 2-year-old for a few minutes, and I prefer her as she is now, minus the vomiting. As we further our efforts to clothe ourselves properly, I notice a bead of sweat formulating at the base of my spine, the top of the crack of my ass. It's a telltale sign for me of future cold, as I'm prone to sweat like a madman, always have, and to be sweating while you're skiing creates a bitching cold day that settles in the hard plastic ski boot, creating ice blocks for feet. Susie suggests that I put the children's ski boots on the condo rather than the lodge so the children can adjust to the boots. I smashed their little undeveloped feet into the hard plastic boots at significant protest, and then all 4 children tromp around the 3rd floor apartment dancing like Herman Munster and smashing the wide pine boards of the wooden floor. It's a fucking madhouse. I open the door as we all dress, and Maggie continually closes the door. She doesn't sweat and hates the cold, so we have this dance going on with the door. It's like when we drive in the car. Meanwhile, I'm a full sweat, my upper lip delivering beads of salty water to my mouth as it drips onto the plastic outerwear that a hopeful skiing person is required to layer themselves with in order to survive a day of skiing in New Hampshire. You look like you're going to have a stroke, Maggie blurts out. I'm having my stroke on the balcony then. It's the outside. I'll be outside foaming, I respond as I leave the clashing living room as the ski families vie for space. Joe's completely ready to ski, helmet in hand, as he closes the door behind him. It's going to be a great day, he says. Yeah. No, I mean it. Sun is out. Snow last night. Perfect, he says. Yeah, I respond, unconvincingly. Your kids ski every weekend. Mine haven't ever been on skis. Barely ever see snow, for that matter. I don't have the same level of optimism. Joe pats me on the back. You have to get them started sometime, he says with confidence, as if it's a skiing axiom. The children bust through the door, and it seems they've adapted to the clunky ski boots. I return to the foyer and carry green grocery bags, and the kids with handles, and the kind with handles and heavy plastic. The save the earth kind. They're full of stuff that Maggie presumes that we need, and she's always right about what we need. She's so organized. We could survive for months on the stuff I've carried. The steps are icy, so I go first and slip a little. Maggie follows with the children and misses the last step and falls in a snowbank with the children. Jessie says, Mommy, let's do it again. We load the car and drive the 4 miles to the parking area with the children smashing one another with their oversized mittens as we move through the empty lot to a spot near the lodge. Cool parking spot, front row, Susie yells out aloud as she stretches. Joe is handing his kids and Susie the keys and poles, has one bag in hand and his own stuff as I see them sprinting in unison as a team toward the ticket booth. My kids are still buckled in, and I'm trying to turn the icy lock on the thing that holds the skis, and it's not turning well. I break the fucking lock and hoist the skis from their resting places and drop them in the icy parking lot. My ski lands sideways and slips across the lot 2 spaces, and when I retrieve the ski, I see Maggie with a few bags in hand and the 2 children marching up to the ticket booth near the lodge. I lock the door, zip the keys in my chest pocket safely, and carry 8 skis of different lengths and 4 poles up the hill to the booth. If I was sweating before, I'm soaked now. Maggie's inside with the kids near the fire. I see the skis against the lodge, set the skis against the lodge, and enter the heated space. It's about 100 degrees in the space. The millions of families are securing, buckling, primping, reprimanding, and jockeying for space as they leave their belongings, their spare boots, their gloves, their lunches, their cooler bags of chips beneath the tables in type of special understanding dance that I don't understand at all, and I'm the only one who wants to puke. Joe sees me and approaches. Isn't this great? It's one of the nicer lodges in the Northeast region, he states knowingly. Yeah. My familiar reply catches his attention. Cheer up, man. I brought my pipe, he says. Oh, you're a good man, Joe, I say, getting convinced of my ability to sneak away to gather in some blue smoke. Did Maggie get some lessons for the kids, I asked Joe. No lessons. Skiing is natural for children, he responds. Natural, I said. We're very early, so as Susie suggests, the mountain is almost ours. A few ski patrol skiers are swaying down the mountain as they look up, snow pushing sideways and as they gently turn. I wish I could ski like that. But I know from past experience that I'm much better off skiing the green trails all day if I can. Joe and Susie will ski blue or even black diamonds, but Maggie and I are happy to ski the green when we've skied with them in the past. Having children on the mountain changes the equation considerably. Our entire gang smashes through the door, the children hopping along as we progress to where I left our skis. I show them how to clip into the skis, and I make them do it themselves a few times as they impatiently listen, excited to try skiing. Susie and Joe and their children wait patiently in a certain ski pose, their weight forward and resting on their ski poles. If I could take a picture with the sun shining on them from the east, I could sell it to Loon for advertisement. Maggie is all set. Her boots on, her skis on. The kids are trying to make their way over to Joe and Susie's family when I realize that I haven't put my boots on. So I run back to our nesting place within the lodge, pull my boots from the bag, and attempt to place my sweaty foot into the cramped boot. I feel this soccer injury in my ankle, the one they operated on, as I press down hard on my left foot. It feels as if my ankle's breaking, but within 1,000,000 pounds of pressure, it finds its way into the base of the boot. And as I bend over to buckle the boots, I feel each of the previous night's meatballs at my waist, as it seems I've gained 15 pounds overnight. I stretch to get the first buckles, and in frustration snap my finger in the buckle, pinching the index finger. I scream what I thought was under my breath, but as I look up, I see that I'm surrounded by families and mothers and children that seemingly all have shoved our stuff further beneath our holding space into a pile with banana and apples dotting in the floor beneath our picnic table. In one last gasp, I buckle the final buckles and stand for the first time in a long time in ski boots. It feels as if I'm walking on the moon as I move towards the door and my family. Suddenly I realize that what we spent on this trip thus far, and I can't believe that I'm sitting on a beach. I could be sitting on a beach in Key West sipping a drink with a taste of coconut dancing from a glass of pina colada. I don't hear any crying among the children. Come on, Pokey, Maggie repeats. My eyes close, and I'm in a serenity now moment where I could turn around and walk out on all this bullshit right at that moment, but I don't. I snap into my skis, skate over to the group and ask, so, what's first? I thought we'd get on the chair and start on the beginner hill, Susie directs cautiously and with a pure smile, her joy in just being here, obvious to the world around her. But the chair is over there and we're here, I state, the obvious. I'll ski over with my daughters to the lift, and Susie will stay and help Liza and Bella with you. Now, girls, watch Susie, Mrs. Halton ski, side to side. See, she keeps the weight on the downhill ski, Joe states gently. Mr. Halton, what's the downhill ski? Liza asks. Look down. It's the one on your left side. This one, he says, pointing the ski with the pole. Okay, Liza responded. After a while, when you want to turn, shift to the other foot, he says. Bella isn't paying attention. She's distracted as the Loon mascot just arrived in the half costume. The bird suit on, but the head's tucked neatly beneath his arm. As the half bird approaches, Bella begins sliding down the small hill sideways, her weight not on the downhill ski, and falling backward, her speed picking up as she moves towards the ski lift paddock. Joe instinctively skis to her and guides her to the stop. She's flashing her arms up and down to either let us know that she's okay, or perhaps she's so happy. That's cool. I want to try that, Liza says. I smile at Maggie for the first time. And we begin our day skiing. Liza's balance is terrific. She's smaller, closer to the ground, and very athletic, so skiing is easy for her. Bella's all power, and she's fearless. This might be a good sport for them. Let's hope not. After a short while, the girls are ready to brave the chairlift. The winds have picked up, the chairs are swaying, and as they come down the mountain, empty. Let's do Fenner's Follies. They'll do fine, Susie says. We move through the short line quickly as we shuffle along. I tell my two girls, stay in the middle, and as the chair approaches from behind, sit down and let it pick you up. Don't fight the chair. Speaking over the noise of the machinery spinning above us, Bella is looking at the giant gears while Liza is turning around and practicing sitting down. It's our turn, and we move into the start line, and a man in a furry boots approaches. First time for the kids, he asks. First. I got this. Don't worry, he says to Liza, who's looking less confident by the second. The machine spins a chair into our path from behind, and the man catches it and slows it considerably so we all can sit down, and then the chair moves forward with a huge, unexpected lurch. Bella lunges backwards in the chair and then slides forward as the chair dips into the valley beyond the lift, almost sliding off the chair. I grab her with my left arm and pull her back as her eyes, as wide as pie plates, look at me with fear as if to say, did that just happen? The entire chairlift stops suddenly. Why is it stopped? Liza asks. Because your sister almost dropped down there. The man hit the stop button. He'll start it again, I say as I give the man the control booth above the chairlift the thumbs up sign. Close one, Maggie says, also frightened. This is so cool, Liza says, as we move up the mountain, and she sees the few skiers below. And the sound of the shush, shush, shush finds its way to the chairlift. Look behind you, I say to the girls and Maggie as we near the top. Even though we're on the last elevated side of the mountain, we're far higher than those two girls have ever been, and they notice. I can see the Tom Daddy, Bella says. Me too, Liza says. Let's get ready. See the sign? It says, ready yourself for departure. That means sit down, get your skis up, and just ski off, I state. Tips up, Maggie repeats. The chair reaches the end of the drop and drops us off, and we slide down the exit, and Maggie falls, and the two kids instantly fall on top of her. Okay, everybody up, Susie says aloud as she stops on a dime in front of the mass of bodies, all laughing. Let's go over there, and I'll show you how to stop. Slide your skis together sideways, shift your weight like this. Liza and Bella instantly catch on. Where's Joe and your kids, I ask. Oh, they're already on the mountain, she says. Thank you for hanging with us. No problem. We'll get them to skiing on one or two runs. You watch, Susie says confidently. Follow me and do what I do. Max, you follow behind the group, and Maggie, you're between Liza and Bella. First, make a piece of pizza with your skis. That's a snowplow. That's how you're going to ski today. See? Like this. That's it. You've got it already, Susie says encouragingly. We all snowplow down the mountain for 2 runs. And Susie says, they look like they're ready. Are you two okay now? She asks. All set. Go hit some black diamonds, I say. No, Max, they're ready to go to the top, she says. Up there? Bella says, pointing to the top, barely visible in a sudden flurry. Up there, Susie says as she skis to the other lift line for summit. We follow. You think we should do this? I asked Maggie. Of course, Pokey. You don't want the kids to be pokey too, Maggie says, as she races after Susie, leaving me to snowplow behind the 2 girls as we cross the dangerous end of the run from the summit, as hardcore racing skiers speed to be first on the line. We're all going on the gondola together, I explained to the kids. What's a gondola? Bella asked. A gondola is a big box that hangs from a wire, and it will take us up to the top of the mountain. Oh, Bella responds, her blue eyes shining from the sun's glare. The 2 families ride together with the other on the gondola, and we all get off at the top. I'll take the kids down with Susie. Go off and ski some of the edges with Joe like you used to. Stay out of the trees, but have a good time. I'll see you at the lodge for lunch. Maggie generously offers. Go, Susie says to Joe as he smiles deviously like he just cheated on the spelling test in grade school. I'll go, but I'm not skiing the edges. Maybe Joe can give me a lesson or 2, I said generously. Follow me, Joe says as he turns quickly and drops off into a black diamond mobile field. I don't know, I say out loud as I see the family smiling at me, daring me to do it as they pass by me to the Sunday Run green trail. I ski the edges of the mobile field as Joe hits every bump, his knees absorbing every shocking cavern. He skis as fast as I can through the mobile field, while I'm on the flat edges with the old people. We meet up at the next drop as I slide sideways with a nice spray of snow lifting onto Joe's legs. I can still stop pretty good, I say. You're going to need it, he says menacingly. We've got the kids, Joe. We can't do all that stuff we did in college, I think. Have a hit from the pipe. It'll change your mind, he says convincingly. Come on. Or do you want a piece of chocolate? The last time you convinced me to take a piece of chocolate, I practically hallucinated. I couldn't feel my shoulders and my legs went numb, I recall. Just a hit then. Okay, 1 hit. A second from the glass bowl, it's warm, and then my throat feels like it's on fire, and I begin coughing up a lung. Some good shit, right? He says. Well, you get the shit part, right? I return between coughs. I'm not feeling it, I say. 10 minutes, give it 10. Follow me. This time we'll stay on the flat stuff. Sorry about that, Joe says apologetically. I'll follow you this time, but don't fuck me up. Joe drops into a flat, sweeps from side to side along the mountain trail, just as I like to ski, seeing the scenery, stopping from time to time, and spending as little time in the chairlift or in the gondola as possible. I can see he's bored, but these ski runs are just for me. After all, I've been the Sherpa for the past couple of days. I might as well ski the way I want to ski. When we stop to look over the valley at the next drop, I see an obstacle area for snowboarders. Yellow police tape blocks the entrance. I can really feel the effects of the pot now as I'm looking over the half pipe and some small jumps. My head feels as if it isn't attached to my shoulders and that it's moving in the frigid breeze above my head and flying around the mountain. Let's keep going, I say brazenly. I'll follow again. I want to learn how you make those nice turns. I'm fighting the fucking mountain with my turns. Got it. Follow me closely, Joe instructs. We've about 30 runs, and I'm following dutifully as Joe nears the entrance to the obstacle field. He breaks the tape and moves into the half pipe, which hasn't been groomed, so it's icy with a slick coating of an inch of new fallen snow atop the ice. And I'm following him from side to side, and we emerge on the other end, and he flashes over the last right across the deserted area, and as he does, we exit the obstacle area and enter the woods for the short stretch, skiing between pines as if we skied Loon every day. As we exit the trees, a throng of skiers emerge from this section, and Joe cuts left, and for some reason, he goes over a jump, which is about 6 feet high, and for some reason, and it can only be a pot I smoked affecting me, I follow him, and he falls on the other side, and jump and tumbles, and I can see him as if I'm losing my balance in midair, and I can feel the tick, tick, tick of the snow pellets hitting my goggles, and I'm going to land on Joe, so I lift the ski, it's going to spike him, and I flatten my right ski pole on, and as I land, I catapult forward, and my right eye smashes the plastic handle on the pole, and as I cascaded another 60 feet down the mountain. Now that's part of the story might seem very familiar.
I was going to say, this seems to be a problem that you have with skiing and your poles.
As I gather myself...
At least it was the right eye this time.
You kind of know this part of the story, right? As I gather myself, observe my ski pole 30 more feet down the mountain and ski resting near a tree, I notice blood in the snow. I'm stoned, so my first thought is that there must have been an accident here, or a pack of wolves may have gone down there or something. I realize that I'm seeing, I'm only seeing out of one eye, but I'm perfectly content to not open my eye. With my good eye, I look up the mountain, and skiers, including a ski patrol guy, is standing over Joe, asking aloud, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" I can see Joe lift himself off the snow and smack his ski pants with one pole and point down the mountain at me. Max, stay still," Joe says. The ski patrol member swings quickly to my side and nudges his radio with his chin, turning it on. "Smugglers, I need some help. Toboggan, needed transport, subject bleeding, male conscious, looking to be in early 40s, unaccompanied." "It's going to be okay, Max. It's a head wound. They bleed a lot. Don't worry, Max. Don't worry," Joe says. He's very upset. "I'm fine," I say as I try to get up. The attendant pushes my shoulders down. "Sir, Max, we're going to take you down the mountain. Everything will be fine. It's just precautionary," he says unconvincingly. I take my glove off and reach up to my right eye because I can't open my eye, and all I feel is wet. Look at my hand, it's completely bloody. I can't see, I start yelling. The ski patrol attendant holds my other hand and then motions to Joe to hold my hand as he applies pressure above my eye. "You look good. It looks good, Max. Don't worry," Joe insists. "I'm not worried. Can you call Maggie and tell her I'll be late for lunch?" I say. A woman skis over to us quickly and stops spraying snow on me, and the attendant, her friend, arrives the same way, and they lean over to get a good look at me. "Oh my God! He's lost his eye," she says hysterically. "I lost my eye." No, he says to me. "Can you please get the fuck out of here, ma'am?" he says as Joe stands and shoves him down the hill. "Fuck you," one of the women yells back. The emergency toboggan arrives, and I'm rushed to a full capacity emergency room waiting area. The place is ripe with sweaty people awaiting treatment for knee and limb injuries. I'm bleeding, so I don't have to wait. I have a large ice pack on my eye, and I'm taken to what seems to be an operating table, and finally, they cut all of my sweaty, bloody clothes, and I'm lying there as six doctors come into the room to view my eye. Finally, one of the doctors puts some gloves on and fiddles with the flesh on my eyelid and opens my eye. A bright light appears, and I for a moment think I'm dead, but then I realize that I can see, albeit blurry. When the doctor releases the skin from the injury, my eye closes again. "Judging from your reaction, I believe that you still have sight in the eye. We are going to stitch you up, get you some antibiotics, and get you out of there pretty quickly. Okay, Mr. Prime?" the doctor says. "Will he be able to ski?" Joe asks. "No," I answer for the doctor. In time, when the swelling stops, the doctor. finishes. The following day, some of the swelling goes down, and the stitches begin to ache whenever I move. Maggie takes the kids to the mountain, and I stay behind, near the fire on the worn couch, pillows all around me, and I read the first chapter of a book and fall gently off to sleep until noon. I then get up and start packing because Maggie's to drive home tonight after skiing. Susie and Joe are staying an extra day. I'm okay with all that because I'm still messed up, and I'd rather just home watching golf with the other eye than staying here trying to make the remotes work on the TV. I make some lunch before I know it, and I'm sitting on the couch surrounded by all the packed items, a monument to lunacy. At 2:30, I can hear the pounding on the door. It's Maggie. She's forgotten the key, and when I open the door, she falls into the front foyer with the kids following, and Joe and Susie chasing after her, laughing their asses off. Maggie's lying on the floor laughing. She seems drugged. Laughter and the smashing of heavy feet entering the room is all that can be heard as the kids enter the room and step over Maggie. "Mommy's drunk," Bella says. "Mommy's wicked drunk," Liza announces. "Chocolate and wine from a leather bag. It's a great combination," Joe says. "I want chocolate," Bella says. "Not this kind," Joe says. "Joe, we have to drive home. She has to drive home today. You know that I'm flying out to recruit in Cincinnati tomorrow. Remember, that's why we can't stay the whole time." Oh, shit. "You don't look much better," Joe says. "You're pretty fucked up, too." "We all are," Susie says. "It's something about the leather bag that gets me every time." "Can you help me put her in the car?" I ask. Joe and I lift Maggie from the floor and drag her to the car as she protests. "I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I'm hungry," Maggie repeats. "Is Mommy going to die?" Bella asks. "No, she's just drunk," Liza responds. Joe helps me load the car as Maggie sleeps with her head against the cold window. She carries a wry smile, the kind that dreams produce. I'm glad she's having a good time. Susie left sleeping on the couch with one arm hanging to the floor. Joe drapes her arm over her chest and covers her with a blanket. I say goodbye and thanks to her as she sleeps. "Bye. Bye-bye." She follows as I leave the condo with the children. I must look like a pirate with one eye covered with a black patch and a bandage wrapped around my head. We roll out of the parking area carefully to not slide as Joe hesitantly waves at us and then unexpectedly runs along the car, making goofy faces at the children. They laugh hysterically as we begin our journey to escape the Norse cold. Within a half hour, the children are asleep, and Maggie simultaneously awakens. She's still drunk, but coming down for sure. The first words out of her mouth are, "What the fuck was that all about?" I turn to her and say, "You got drunk." "And I," she whispers. "You look like hell. No, like Captain Hook or something, whatever. You look like shit." "Can you drive?" she says with a slur. "My one eye's better than your two," I respond. "The skiing was so fun," she yells. "Shh, shh. It'll awaken the kids." "I'm so hungry," she whispers like a junkie. "I'm not stopping. I can't stop. I'm not too good here. If you haven't noticed, I'm not doing well." "No, I guess you're not," she says, looking out the side window, not facing me. "It's snowing. Look, it's snowing. Isn't it beautiful?" she says. "Yeah," I say sarcastically. "Didn't you have any fun?" she asks. As Maggie completes these words, fun, a deer appears in the road, and I tap the brakes because if I lock up on a mountain road, I'll hit the 12-foot snowbank and on my right or careen into the guardrail on the other side of the road. The anti-lock brakes noise awakens the children and sobers Maggie as the car comes to nearly a complete stop and slides generously and dangerously, I should say, into the other lane. At about, excuse me, at about 10 miles per hour. I can see the deer's antlers, and he turns away from the moving car and starts towards the cliff edge, and then turns back and bashes into the driver's side door, smashing the glass with his antler. The children scream in unison, and Maggie shrieks, "Daddy, did you kill it? Daddy, did you kill it?" Liza asks. "Is it dead?" Bella asks. "I hope it's okay," Maggie says as the event evading a live mammal seems to have sobered her considerably. "You saw the deer bound over the side of the mountain. Deer are resilient. He'll be fine," they respond. "What does Rieslat mean?" Bella asks. "Tough, like your daddy. I mean, it means tough," I say. "Do you think you should pull over to check?" Maggie suggests. "No," I say incredulously. "If we stop here and I get out, I'm dead." "No. Next stop is Massachusetts border to piss," I announce. "Don't be crude in front of the girls," Maggie states. "They know you were drunk, Mag," I whisper. "Daddy, what are you whispering to Mommy?" Liza asks. "Mommy, Daddy stuff. Look out the window and tell Daddy if a deer is coming from the woods." "Okay, Daddy," she says. "There's one," Liza says as I tap the brakes. "No, there's a deer," Bella chimes in. "Those are trees, girls. Be sure you know it's a deer before you call out. Okay," I say. The snow doesn't stop until we hit Rhode Island border, and as it almost always does in Rhode Island, the snow sleep begins and the speed reduces from 40 miles per hour to 20. The snow helps the two children sleep. The sound of a woman in the throes of an intense, cheap red wine hangover fills the front seat for remaining 50 miles. But I don't care. I just want to go home. Only 3 weeks pass before we're at it again, driving north, this time in a brand new four-wheel drive machine to go with my ski box on the roof with the essentials, some new skis and boots for all family members, tires and chains and a thick rope and a complete tool set and a flare gun to ward off bears. I spent about $1 million. The end. Not the end, though. It went on and on and on, and we continued to have these
And
forays.
the kids get to be good skiers?
They snowboarded. Well, one did. I think one ended up snowboarding. Yeah, they did fine. I mean, they weren't pros at it. I don't think it's a lifelong pursuit of theirs or anything.
You never know.
The kids are engaged in athletics and they're healthy, so my daughter's still playing soccer as a 26-year-old woman. Oh, I'm sitting next to a woman that's playing soccer at a much more advanced age.
Are you still skiing?
I will if I'm absolutely forced to. No, I will go skiing maybe this year once. I like to ski for about 3 hours or 3 hours, so it's nice. It's really worth it.
Yeah.
I like to ski maybe more than that. With the right situation, the right circumstances, of people that are willing to go not fast. I do fight them out quite a bit. There wasn't anything there that wasn't true. That was all true, but it varies. You can see how I work, right? So I'm working from a base of experiences that I had.
Mm-hmm.
All the kid stuff was absolutely verbatim. And the experience I just molded this experience with my college situation with the bunch of women that I took.
Yeah.
I went north.
You just folded that into the story.
I folded that into the story, yeah. And there were other elements of it too. But, there's license to do that as the author of it. However, did you find it funny?
I did find it funny.
Did you see any of those moments in your own experience? You had a lot more fun skiing, apparently.
Yeah, but, some of the schlepping around stuff, is funny. And then I just
Did Stewart have to do all that?
no, I mean he does carry this big boot bag. For some reason we have this big double boot bag, so he's carrying my boots and his boots and all the gear in this big bag, and my daughter is just like, why? Why is he doing that? He looks like the bag is going to take him down. But yeah, I've identified with some of it. And
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself, oh, rookie move, having all the clothes on before you get to the mountain.
Yeah.
That's how you start sweating.
So true. And then when you get there, though, that room is just, there's some sort of organizational pattern that just I did not understand. And you're taking, there must be millions of dollars worth of equipment. Because I know what it costs us. And people just leave it right there. They just all leave it right there, If you wanted a pair of skis, I mean, it's pretty easy to get a pair of skis.
I mean, it happens once in a while, but in general, skiers aren't stealing each other's gear.
No, I know. There's a certain wealthy group of people that don't steal things. Not that I ever thought of it. I wouldn't take anything from anybody, but I imagine it happens.
Yeah, once in a while it does happen.
They have like little homing devices on their GPS things in the skis.
They might nowadays.
Another idea from James Allen that I'm not going to profit from. So, I mean, that was the story, a skiing story. I thought you might enjoy. It was a little longer than most stories, but in fact, at one point, I got a little verklempt during the story. We at an appropriate time to
I think we
say
should
goodbye.
probably wrap it up.
Say goodbye, farewell, Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.
Mm-hmm. I'm warmed up for skiing after that story.
Farewell, Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. So where will you ski first? Do you start out at Yagu, the
No.
below sea level?
I have
Drop?
only time I've ever skied at Yagu was when my kids were racing and they had a race there.
Did you ski it backwards?
Well, we didn't get tickets. We just, on our skis, walked up to the top and then skied down.
That's probably, that was enough. I mean, you could walk up to the top on your own.
Yeah.
That was my first skiing experience. My mother brought us to a place called Klein Innsbruck. Are you familiar with this?
I've heard of that.
I mean, it's another. It's hardly a
Little bump of the
It's a
mountain.
little bump. My cousins were into skiing, and they had a station wagon too. And we all got in the station wagon, and my sisters were permitted to have skis and gear. I think that they just hand-me-downs that my cousins had, and then they gave me something from the 20s. So I had skis that were made of like wood, and they didn't pay for the ski lift, so I had to walk up the mountain sideways. The skis,
Sidestepping up the mountain.
Sidestepping
Yeah.
up a mountain. I did that all day, all alone. My mother didn't ski at all, and neither did my aunt. And those other kids they went on the ski lift. They weren't going to go sidestepping up the hill. So my whole family went. But
You got the best workout out of everybody.
That's a good way to look at it. I looked at it now, how many years later? 60, 50 years later. And I'm thinking, that was awful. Why did they do that to me? But in retrospect, I did get the most workout. I probably have the most psychological damage. So that's enough of that. So I'm going to say a few words here. No, we're going to play some drums.